Hello. We are discussing writing in-cell formulas as a way to achieve data automation and help you automate the way you work with data. So we left off by uh, the task of having to parse this data, extracting this last value, S or M, into this column here. And we we started to use left and right, and we used a helper column to achieve that. Well, this time what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can combine a few of these and not need the helper column. So again, it's all about trying to streamline your work and get it to the least amount of steps you can to make this all work. And we're going to introduce two new functions. So we looked at left, we looked at right. We're going to introduce the mid, and we're going to introduce a function called find. And so let's begin. Again, the way that this works is you have this data set ready and open, and this data set is called provider data set. Have it open next to you, and watch a little bit of how I work, and then pause the video and go out and actually do the work, and then come back to the video, unpause it, and continue. That works best. If you try to watch it all the way through, it's not going to work very well. So here we go. What we want to do again is we want to extract this value from this text cell and put it here. We want to try to do this all in one go. So we don't want to have to use a helper column. And here's how we would do that. Well, here's one way we could do that. Again, with Excel, there's multiple ways. So here's just one way. We're going to introduce a function called the mid. The mid is like the left and the right, except for it's going to take some values in the mid of a text string. So it'll be inside of here. Again, we have some helper suggestions here. This is the data that it's looking for to make the function work. Well, what data do we want? We want what text we want to parse. That's going to be this text here. Now, the start number is tricky because it goes from left to right. That's tricky because look at all of these are different. Do you see that? So different in length. So this one has, I don't know, 10 characters. This one has 9 characters, 9 characters, 5 characters. And so we can't have this be a hard number. I can't just say 9 because that's not going to work for the rest of these. So we got to introduce a new function here called the find. Well, what text do we want to find? What's common right before each of these letters, or that opening parentheses? So we want to go from the left and we want to find this value right here, or this string. So I'm going to open a quotation marks. I'm going to add the opening parentheses, and I'm going to close the quotation marks. So we want to find that text value. I'm going to hit comma. Within what text? Well, we want to find that within this text. And the starting number, we're just going to put 1 because that we want to find the first one. Now, I got to close that. So I opened the find function. I inputted the values that I wanted, and I'm going to close it. Now notice we're back out to the mid function. So that's great. Now, once we've found this value here, how many characters do we want to return? So we just want to return 1 character, which is the S or the M. If there was S and M and we wanted both, we'd type in 2, but we want 1 here. Then I'm going to close this, hit enter, and you can see that what we found is actually this value right here. So that's we're close, but that's not exactly what we want. What we need to do is we need to recognize that this find value is giving us a number. So let's quickly just do the find here. So we're going to do find within this text. So again, we're looking at this text, and then we want to find the first value, and it gives us the value 8. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's returning this 8th value. What we want to do is we want to get this, in this case, we want to get the 9th value. So all we have to do that is take this find function. So here's this find function, which we know is the number 8. And at the very end, out between the parentheses and the comma, we're going to put +1. So now that value in this case is going to be 9. And look what it did. It gave us the S. So let's write that again here. Let's write that again here so we can see the difference. We're going to say equals mid. We're choosing this text. Our start position is going to be the find. We're going to find that open parentheses within this text. We're going to start it at the first one because there's only one of them. We're going to add 1. We're going to return only one character. That's going to be, in this case, the S, and hit return. So there we go. It works. Now, what I can do is, again, just simply drag this down, double click, drag it down, spot check it, and we're good. So this formula right here, this formula is what we're going to use to do it without a helper cell. Excuse me. So imagine that you get this data set in. Again, the goal is you get this data set about once or twice a week. It has thousands of lines of code. You need to do this and then pass it on to another team. How cool would it be if you had this formula stored in a text file somewhere, Word document, Notepad, and every time you got this data set, all you did was copy the formula from your text file, paste it here, run it down, and then your last step would be, remember, this is a formula. We don't want formulas here. Something could change. A column could be inserted and it'll throw off your formula. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy. So all I'm doing is clicking on the S column. I'm going to right click and say copy. I'm going to click back up here, right click and say paste as values. And so that's the complete job. Look, they're solid values now. They're not equations. So imagine that just sped up your work immensely. So there you go. That's how to write in-cell formulas, combining them so you don't have to use a helper column.